There are words that live beyond language, words that seem to hum in the silence between thoughts. As above, so below. Maybe you've read it on the edge of a tarot card, whispered in a book of shadows, or tattooed on the wrist of someone who seems to carry ancient knowing in their bones. But when you hear it, truly hear it, something in you pauses, something in you remembers. This isn't just a pretty phrase passed down from mystics. It's a code, a compass, a sacred blueprint that reveals how reality is woven, mirrored, and infinitely connected. These 5 words hold more power than entire libraries when felt from the soul, instead of just read with the mind. As above, so below isn't about understanding the stars to escape the earth. It's about realizing that the stars live inside you, that your breath reflects the tides, that your heartbeat echoes the pulse of galaxies, that everything you are is everything that is. Have you ever sensed that the chaos around you was just an echo of something unresolved within? Or felt how your stillness could shift the entire room? This phrase doesn't ask for belief. It asks for presence. So we begin here, with this ancient transmission that has traveled through temples, deserts, and dimensions to reach you now. You didn't stumble onto this message. You were ready to remember, ready to step beyond surface meanings and into the deep current that runs through all things. There is something the universe is trying to show you, something it's been showing you all along. Are you finally ready to see? At first glance, as above, so below sounds like poetry. It feels ethereal, cryptic, like something channeled rather than written. And in many ways, it is. These 5 words trace back to the Hermetic texts, particularly the Emerald Tablet, a short yet profound piece of wisdom attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, part myth, part sage, and often called the father of alchemy. But this phrase has endured not just because of its poetic mystique. It has endured because it holds a fundamental key to understanding reality itself. So what does it truly mean? On the surface, it suggests that what exists above, whether that's the cosmos, the divine, or the spiritual realms, is mirrored below, in the material, physical, earthly plane. But this isn't just an abstract metaphor. It's a direct teaching about the holographic nature of existence. It implies that the macro and the micro are reflections of each other, that what happens in the vastness of the universe is somehow encoded in the smallest parts of you, and vice versa. Have you ever considered that the spiral of galaxies mirrors the spiral of your DNA? Or that the flow of rivers echoes the flow of your bloodstream? These aren't coincidences, they're revelations. Nature repeats patterns because it follows a sacred order. Fractals, symmetry, polarity. This phrase reminds us that life is not chaotic or disconnected, but deeply ordered and intelligent. That everything we observe out there is a reflection of what exists in here. But this phrase doesn't stop at the physical. It speaks to energy, emotion, and consciousness. As above, so below also means that what exists in higher realms, thoughts, intentions, emotions, manifests in the lower. That spirit precedes matter, that your inner world has the power to shape your outer experience. It's not a spiritual cliché, it's an energetic law. Have you noticed how your reality shifts when your mindset shifts? Or how synchronicities appear when you're aligned within? When we truly understand this principle, we stop seeing the world as something that happens to us. We begin to realize we are co-creators, not passive receivers of fate, but active participants in a divine unfolding. And this is where things get powerful. Because if what's above reflects what's below, then your internal healing echoes into your environment. Your clarity affects your relationships. Your presence ripples through collective energy. Your self-worth invites different outcomes. You stop trying to manipulate the outside and instead begin refining the inside, knowing that one mirrors the other. This is why ancient mystics meditated not just to escape the world, but to harmonize with it. Why shamans journeyed into non-ordinary states of consciousness, not to leave their body, but to restore balance within it. Why alchemists sought to transmute lead into gold, not just in the lab, but within the soul. The phrase also flips when needed, as below, so above, meaning what we do in the material also influences the spiritual. The way we treat the earth affects the collective vibration. The way we nourish our bodies affects our intuition. The way we move through grief or joy sends ripples into the unseen. You are not isolated from the divine. You are part of its nervous system, a living, breathing node of consciousness experiencing itself. Have you ever noticed how your rituals, your silence, your sacred moments seem to send a signal out to something bigger? That something responds when you are clear? This is the dialogue the ancients spoke of. You're not just praying into the void, you're participating in an exchange. So to truly live as above, so below, is to live in awareness of connection. It's to move through life as if the sacred is everywhere, because it is. It's to see your life as a ceremony, your choices as spells, your emotions as sacred messengers. It's to understand that tending to your inner world is not selfish, it's service, that embodying love here shifts the vibration everywhere. This phrase calls us back into alignment. It invites us to stop outsourcing our power to systems, signs, or saviors, and instead remember that the divine blueprint lives in us, that every answer we seek in the stars can be found in the stillness of our own breath, that heaven and earth are not separate, they are layered upon one another, intertwined in ways our logical mind cannot grasp, but our spirit deeply recognizes. So the next time you whisper, as above, so below, don't just say it, feel it. Let it echo through your bones. Let it anchor you in reverence. You are the bridge between realms, the temple where spirit meets matter, the thread that ties the seen to the unseen. And through your awareness, you make the invisible visible. You give form to the formless. You carry the cosmos inside your chest. And now that you know, how will you walk through the world? There is a silent thread that weaves its way through all things. You can't see it, but you can feel it when you're present. It's in the way the sky opens at sunrise, in the curve of a wave, in the breath between thoughts. It's the invisible mirror that exists between heaven and earth, and it reflects more than beauty. It reflects truth. When ancient mystics spoke of heaven and earth, they weren't talking about two separate locations. Heaven wasn't just a distant paradise above, and earth wasn't merely a realm of suffering below. These were frequencies, dimensions of perception, ways of being, and the mirror between them, that was consciousness. This mirror isn't made of glass, it's made of awareness, and the more conscious you become, the clearer the reflection becomes. Have you ever had a moment where the sky felt like it was speaking to you? Or where the wind felt like a presence, not just a breeze? These are the moments when the mirror clears, when the veils thin, when heaven speaks and earth echoes. The mirror between heaven and earth shows you that these realms are not apart, but layered, interwoven, one breath from each other. Heaven, in its essence, is not just a place. It's a vibration, a state of alignment, presence, love, and order. And earth, when witnessed from that place, becomes sacred again. The mundane becomes mystical. The ordinary becomes divine. That's the mirror at work, reflecting the divine pattern into form, into tree, into skin, into silence. But the mirror can get cloudy, not because the divine disconnects, it never does, but because we stop looking. We forget, we numb, we get lost in the noise and forget the signal. We become so consumed by survival, by egoic striving, by distraction, that we forget we're standing in a temple every single day. And the mirror dims, and yet it never disappears. Even in the chaos of the world, heaven is not lost. It is waiting, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be reflected again through your eyes, your hands, your words. The sacred didn't leave, we did, but we can return. And that return doesn't require you to ascend anywhere. It asks you to descend into presence, into your body, into stillness, because it's here, in this grounded space, that the mirror becomes whole again. Think of it this way. Heaven offers the light, earth offers the form. One without the other is incomplete. But when they meet, when divine intention meets embodied action, miracles happen. This is the alchemy the ancients spoke of. the sacred union, the point where your thoughts, emotions, and spirit meet your body, breath, and life. That's where the mirror reflects true wholeness. Have you ever noticed how a single act of presence, a deep breath, a heartfelt word, a simple touch, can change the energy of a whole room? That's you, reflecting heaven into earth. And when you act from that place, when you move from that clear mirror, your life begins to flow differently. Your relationships shift. Your timing becomes divine. Your body starts to trust you again. The mirror isn't just about receiving messages from the higher, it's also about transmitting back. Every choice you make, every emotion you hold with love, every intention you set with clarity, it sends a signal upward. It tells the divine that you're listening, that you're willing to meet it halfway, that you're not just waiting for grace, you're embodying it. This is why rituals are powerful, why prayer, movement, music, and silence have always been tools of the mystic. Because they polish the mirror. They remind the body that it is sacred. They remind the mind that it can quiet. They remind the soul that it is not lost. You become the mirror, not just looking into it, but being it. A bridge, a reflection, a convergence point of realms. And when enough of us live like this, with clear mirrors and open hearts, the world itself begins to shift. We stop seeing separation. We stop craving what we already hold. We stop fearing the unknown because we remember. The same breath that moves the stars moves through us. Heaven is not distant. It is mirrored in the way we love, in the way we forgive, in the way we listen deeply. So ask yourself, where in your life is the mirror dusty? Where have you stopped seeing the divine? Where have you closed your eyes to beauty, truth, or presence? Because the mirror will always wait for you to look again. And when you do, when you truly look, you'll see what was always there. A sacred reflection, not just of heaven above, but of the heaven that lives inside you. There is a secret rhythm to everything. The spiral of a galaxy mirrors the swirl of a seashell. The branching of trees reflects the neural patterns in your brain. The flow of rivers mimics the way your blood pulses through your veins. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of a deeper order, one that connects the tiniest grain of sand to the vastness of the cosmos. When mystics say, as above, so below, they are whispering a truth hidden in plain sight. The micro and the macro are in constant conversation, and the more aware you become of this dialogue, the more aligned your life becomes. What happens inside you is not separate from what happens around you. Your thoughts shape your perception. Your emotions shift your electromagnetic field. Your choices ripple outward, influencing timelines, connections, and even the energy of the spaces you walk into. At the same time, the movements of the planets, the phases of the moon, and the cycles of nature whisper back, reminding you that you are not an isolated being, but a microcosm of a vast and intelligent universe. Alignment doesn't mean perfection. It means resonance. It means bringing your personal energy into harmony with the larger forces at play. Imagine a tuning fork. When it vibrates near another at the same frequency, the second one begins to resonate. The same happens when your internal state begins to resonate with divine order. Your life doesn't become free of challenge, but it does become clearer, more fluid. You begin to move with the current rather than against it. Synchronicities increase. Opportunities unfold. You feel guided, not lost. But what does it actually mean to align the micro with the macro in daily life? It starts with listening, not just with your ears, but with your entire presence. Listening to your body, not just when it screams in pain, but when it whispers through fatigue, tension, or desire. Listening to your emotions, not just labeling them, but letting them reveal where energy is stuck, where love is needed. Listening to your environment, how it mirrors your internal world. Is your space chaotic? Does it reflect your mind? Does your routine support your growth or pull you into old loops? Then it expands into observation. Look at the sky. Watch how the moon waxes and wanes. Does your energy do the same? Notice how the seasons shift. Are you honoring your own cycles of rest and bloom? Pay attention to how the world mirrors your internal state. When you feel heavy, do others respond differently? When you are grounded, do interactions become smoother? These are subtle clues that your inner world is always dialoguing with the outer one. Alignment is not about control, it's about coherence. You're not here to bend the universe to your will. You're here to remember that you are part of it, a living cell in the body of something infinite. When you align your small daily actions with greater universal truths, such as honesty, compassion, stillness, presence, you begin to feel the harmony of the greater song. Even the ancient teachings reflect this. In Hermetic philosophy, the principle of correspondence teaches that the patterns of the stars are reflected in human behavior. In Eastern traditions, the body is seen as a temple where cosmic forces express themselves through breath, energy centers, and flow. Indigenous wisdom keeps reminding us that we are not on the earth, we are of it. There's a reason the body is made of stardust. You were never meant to be separate. When the micro and the macro align, your internal compass strengthens. Decisions become easier because they are not driven by ego or fear, but by inner knowing. Your life becomes a ceremony. Each word spoken, each step taken, begins to reflect a deeper purpose. You start to ask different questions, not just what do I want, but what am I in service to? Not just how do I get ahead, but how do I become more attuned? So many of us have been taught to chase outer alignment, trying to make everything look perfect. The job, the body, the relationship, the image. But true alignment begins within. It is an energetic congruence between what you think, feel, say, and do. And once that internal alignment begins to settle, it radiates outward. The macro reflects it back. Life becomes a mirror, not always soft, but always honest. Ask yourself this: what in my life feels out of sync? Not because it's wrong, but because it's not resonant with who I truly am anymore. What small shift could I make today, in my breath, my choices, or my presence, to become more coherent with the truth I carry inside? Because you are not separate from the stars. You are not cut off from the divine order. You are a fractal of the whole, a sacred piece of the cosmic mosaic. And every time you bring your internal state into harmony with higher truth, you don't just change yourself, you help realign the world. The macro is waiting for the micro to awaken. And when it does, when you begin to live in that remembrance, everything responds. The winds shift, the signs appear, the path clears, and the sacred dialogue between above and below begins again. When we hear as above, so below, it's easy to keep it conceptual, something beautiful to reflect on, like poetry written in the stars. But this is not just a poetic idea. It's a law, a living principle. And like any true law of the universe, it moves through everything, including your inner world, especially your inner world. This law is not something that exists out there. It's a mirror that turns inward. It reveals that the same patterns that shape galaxies also shape your thoughts, your wounds, your healing, your desire for meaning. The vastness of the cosmos is reflected in the landscape of your being. And once you begin to understand that the above and the below are never separate, your inner terrain stops feeling like a mystery. It becomes a map, sacred, alive, and completely navigable. Think of your mind, your emotions, your energy, your memories, your intuition, all as dimensions of your inner cosmos. Some parts are full of light, clarity, and movement. Others are darker, heavier, stuck in orbit around old stories or pain. But just like the universe, you are not static. You are in constant expansion. Your energy shifts. Your thoughts ripple. Your nervous system receives and broadcasts. And every time you shift internally, the outer reflection eventually catches up. So how does this law, this cosmic symmetry, affect your inner world? It starts with one realization. Everything within you is connected to something larger. Your fears are not random. Your emotions are not accidents. Your longings aren't just personal. They are part of a larger energetic equation. When you experience sadness, it's not just about an event. It's a vibration, a contraction of energy. a signal that something inside is asking to be brought into alignment with love. When you feel joy, it's not a fleeting feeling, it's resonance. It's the inside of you matching something outside, something timeless. If you've ever noticed how your mood changes with the moon, or how moments of deep clarity seem to arrive when you're near water, or in nature, or under the stars, that's this law in motion. Your inner world responds to cosmic rhythms because you are made of the same forces. You are water, fire, air, and earth. You are stardust, frequency, breath. Your inner weather shifts just as the outer weather does. Understanding this law invites you to take responsibility, not in a heavy or moralistic way, but in a sacred way. If the universe mirrors you, then your inner chaos will eventually shape your outer reality. But the inverse is also true. When you find peace within, even in small moments, the world begins to reflect that peace back. Conversations soften, opportunities flow, life synchronizes. So many spiritual seekers look outside for signs, and signs are beautiful. But the clearest signs come from within. Your body tightening in certain environments, your heart expanding around specific people, the gut feeling that tells you to wait, to move, to speak, or to stay silent. These are messages from your inner world, and they're connected to the macro through this law. Your intuition is not just instinct, it's cosmic memory. It's the part of you that still remembers the pattern. This law also brings profound clarity to your healing journey. When you begin to explore old wounds, traumas, beliefs, you're not just diving into personal history. You're entering energetic imprints passed down through lineage, culture, soul memory. Your healing ripples backward and forward. It affects your ancestors. It clears space for those who will come after you. Just as a star collapsing in one corner of the galaxy sends waves across time and space, your inner transformations shape more than just you. They shape the field. This is why inner work is sacred. It's not just for your well-being. It's an act of cosmic alignment. When you alchemize pain into wisdom, fear into awareness, shame into compassion, you're not just healing yourself, you're tuning your entire system into the frequency of divine order. You are literally bringing your below into harmony with the above. So ask yourself, what in my inner world feels out of sync right now? Is it a thought that plays on repeat? An emotion I avoid? A decision I keep delaying? What would happen if I approached that not as a flaw to fix, but as an invitation to align? This law reminds us that inner turbulence is not something to shame or suppress. It's a message, a mirror, a part of you saying, something here wants to be brought into harmony. And the moment you respond with presence, with curiosity, with love, you begin to shift, not from force, but from coherence. That's how this law works. As above, so below. As within, so without. When the energy inside changes, the energy around you rearranges. This truth does not mean that every external struggle is your fault. That's a distortion of the law. It means that your inner world is a powerful place to begin, because that's where your sovereignty lives. That's where your energy emanates from, and that's where you are free to realign, again and again, with what is sacred, true, and eternal. The universe is always whispering, not only in the stars, but in your heartbeat, in your breath, in your longing to come home to yourself. Your body is not just a vessel. It is not simply skin and organs and movement. It is not an accident, nor is it separate from your spirit. Your body is a living reflection of your soul, a sacred mirror that speaks in sensation, rhythm, and form. Every ache, every pulse, every breath is a conversation. The question is, are you listening? To understand, as above, so below, through the body, is to realize that the physical is not the opposite of the spiritual. It is its expression. Your body is the below through which the above reveals itself. The way your soul moves through time, the way your energy responds to life, the way your essence translates into the world, all of it echoes through your physical form, your posture, your voice, your nervous system, your health. These aren't just biological. They're energetic imprints. Have you ever noticed how your body reacts when you are not being true to yourself? When you say yes but mean no? Do you feel tightness in your chest? When you betray your intuition, do you later get headaches, stomach pain, restlessness? And conversely, when you are in alignment, when you follow your truth, when you're connected to something greater, doesn't your body feel lighter, more expansive, more at peace? This is not random. This is resonance. Your body is a tuning fork. It picks up frequency. It broadcasts your internal state. It remembers everything your mind has tried to forget. Trauma lives in the body not as a metaphor, but as reality, as muscle tension, hormonal patterns, immune responses, breath restrictions. The soul speaks, and the body answers. And when the soul is silenced, the body cries out. Understanding this shifts the way you relate to your body. It is no longer just something to fix, sculpt, or discipline. It becomes something to honor, to listen to partner with. Your body becomes a sacred ally in your journey of awakening. It shows you where energy is flowing and where it's stuck. It shows you what parts of your inner world are asking for attention, not through words, but through sensation. This is why embodiment is spiritual, because when you come fully into the body, you are not leaving the spirit behind. You are bringing the spirit home. Too many people try to ascend by escaping the body, but the true path of integration is not to float above, but to ground below, to feel the sacred in your cells, to remember that you are spirit having a human experience, yes, but also that your human experience is how your spirit grows, heals, learns, and expresses. Have you ever looked at your own body and seen more than a reflection? Have you sensed your ancestors in your hands, your history in your spine, your soul's journey etched into the curves and scars of your skin? These are not just poetic ideas. They are lived truths. Your body is a record. It holds codes, and it holds the possibility of rewriting those codes through intention, care, presence. Let's also speak of symptoms. Illness, fatigue, inflammation, chronic pain. These aren't punishments. They're messengers. They are the body saying, something is out of alignment. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's spiritual, often it's all three. And when you learn to decode the messages, you no longer fear the body. You begin to trust it. You begin to see it as the compass it is. This is not about blame. This is about consciousness. There is no shame in being unwell or in pain. But there is power in asking, what is this sensation trying to tell me? What part of me needs attention, not just treatment? What truth have I buried that my body is now holding for me? These are the questions that transform your relationship with the physical into a sacred dialogue. There is also beauty here, not the curated kind, but soul beauty. The glow in your eyes when you're aligned, the warmth in your voice when you speak your truth, the calm in your breath when you're present. These are not external decorations. They are the soul, showing through the skin. They are the above, shimmering through the below. When someone is embodied, awake, and grounded, you feel it. Their presence changes the room. That's not charisma. That's coherence. To walk the spiritual path without honoring the body is to walk halfway. True alignment is not just in the mind or in the ether. It is in the tissues, the blood, the breath. Your body is how the soul makes contact with the earth. It is your channel, your altar, your most intimate teacher. So pause for a moment. Place a hand on your chest. Feel the pulse, that rhythm. It has been with you since before you had language. It is older than your name. It is the echo of life itself. Every beat says, you are here. Every breath says, you are alive. Every sensation, every signal, every symptom, it all says, this is your soul, speaking through the body. And in this conversation, there are no wrong answers, only invitations to come closer, to trust more deeply, to remember more fully, that as above, so below, your body is not separate from your spirit. It is how your soul touches the world. There is a rhythm that pulses through all of existence, a vast breathing intelligence that weaves trees and stars, atoms and galaxies, roots and constellations, into one unbroken song. This is the great pattern, and whether we are conscious of it or not, we live inside it. Look around. Nothing in nature moves randomly. The way a leaf spirals around its stem follows the Fibonacci sequence. The curve of a seashell mirrors the spiral arms of galaxies. The movement of tides, the migration of birds, the blooming of flowers, the phases of the moon, all are synchronized with forces far greater than themselves. And you are not separate from that. As above, so below is not just about internal reflection. It is also an invitation to witness the harmony that already exists all around you, and to remember that you, too, were designed to move with it. Your body knows the moon. Your heart responds to sunlight. Your cycles, your breath, your instincts, they are not errors of biology. They are expressions of cosmic truth. Have you ever stood under the night sky and felt small, yet somehow more whole? That moment when you look up and realize the same elements that burn in the stars are inside your blood. Iron, carbon, oxygen. It's not just poetic, it's literal. You are made of stardust, shaped by the same processes that forge planets and suns. And if the universe is intelligent enough to birth galaxies, it is intelligent enough to have formed you with purpose. The natural world is a living scripture. It teaches without words. The tree does not rush. The river does not force. The seasons do not apologize for their changes. And yet, everything gets done. There is no competition between the eagle and the fox, no insecurity in the grass as it grows. Each part plays its role in the whole, and because of that, balance is maintained. What would change if you lived by this same principle? If you stopped striving to prove your worth and started remembering your place in the pattern? If you allowed yourself to flow with timing, to trust seasons, to honor the space between becoming and arriving? There is wisdom in stillness, just as there is wisdom in motion. And you are meant to carry both. Nature does not fear death, because it understands death as part of life. The leaves fall, not because the tree is failing, but because it is preparing for a deeper cycle. In the same way, parts of you may be shedding now, identities, beliefs, relationships, not as punishment, but as preparation. You are not broken, you are becoming. In many ancient traditions, the earth was seen as a sacred being, Gaia, Pachamama, Mother Earth, not as a resource, but as a relative. The stars were not distant objects, but guides. The elements were not inert matter, but living forces. Fire had spirit, water had memory, wind carried messages. These weren't superstitions, they were deep acknowledgments of the web that connects everything. Have we forgotten how to see like this? To perceive the sacred in the soil, to feel the heartbeat of the land beneath our feet? Perhaps the reason so many feel lost is because they've been disconnected from the pattern that would hold them if they let it. We live in a world that prioritizes speed, consumption, and disconnection. But the cosmos is still speaking. Nature is still calling. The pattern is still here. What if you could remember how to listen? When you walk barefoot on the earth, when you breathe with the trees, when you let yourself be still long enough to hear the wind, something shifts. You return to coherence. You realign, not through effort, but through remembrance. The pattern doesn't need to be created. It only needs to be received. And it's not just outside you. The great pattern lives within you as well. The microcosm of your body reflects the macrocosm of the universe. Your breath flows like tides. Your neurons fire like stars. Your organs operate in harmony like ecosystems. The intelligence that governs forests and galaxies also animates your cells. There is no separation, only scale. To live in alignment with the great pattern is to understand that your life matters, not because of how much you achieve, but because of how deeply you align. When you live in tune with nature and cosmos, your decisions become clearer, your actions become sacred, your presence becomes healing, not just for yourself, but for the world around you. You do not need to figure it all out. You need only to observe, to feel, to soften into rhythm. Because the great pattern is not a mystery to be solved. It is a dance to be joined. The question is, can you hear the music again? There is a reason you've always felt the pull of both the stars and the soil, a reason why you dream of what's beyond, yet ache for a sense of rootedness, why you feel things others don't notice, and carry questions too vast for easy answers. It's because you are not here to choose between spirit and matter. You are here to remember that you are both. You are the bridge between worlds. You carry the language of the cosmos in your bones and the memory of Earth's heartbeat in your blood. You are a soul incarnated, yes, but not by accident. You didn't come here to escape the human experience. You came to sanctify it, to bring light into form, to embody the sacred, not just in temples or meditations, but in your walk, your breath, your voice, your choices. What if every moment of your life was an altar? What if washing the dishes was as holy as prayer? If listening to a friend was as cosmic as stargazing? What if your life isn't separate from your spiritual path, but is the very ground where your soul is doing its deepest work? The ancient phrase, as above, so below, isn't a metaphor. It's an instruction, a reminder that you, uniquely, are a point of connection, that what flows through you affects not only your body and mind, but the field around you. When you choose presence, it ripples outward. When you choose compassion, it lifts the collective. When you choose truth, it anchors something higher into this realm. You aren't small, you are pivotal. But being a bridge can feel like being pulled in two directions. It's easy to get overwhelmed, to feel too sensitive for the noise of the world, yet too human for the stillness of spirit. You might wonder if you're doing enough, if you're getting it right. But the truth is, your existence alone is already part of the pattern. Your authenticity is the offering. You don't have to be perfect to be a channel for light. You just have to be honest, present, willing to return to your center again and again, because every time you do, you become a living alignment. You remind others, not with words, but with your being, that it's possible to be both grounded and expansive, soft and strong, human and divine. You are not lost, you are in process, and the process is sacred. It takes courage to live this way, to be awake in a world that often asks you to numb, to slow down in a culture that glorifies urgency, to choose love when fear is easier. But that is the very reason you are needed, not to fight the old, but to embody the new, to hold a frequency that others can feel, even if they don't yet understand it. You are not here to convince. You are here to radiate, to walk through the world like a prayer, to trust that your presence, when aligned, does more than you know. You may never see the full effect of your light, but it moves through timelines, through hearts, through the fabric of this reality. You shift things just by being. You are not a seeker looking for something outside yourself. You are a remembering, a return. And every breath you take in awareness, every step you walk in truth, strengthens the bridge between the seen and the unseen, between heaven and earth, between who we've been and what we're becoming. So stand tall in your role, not with arrogance, but with reverence, not to elevate yourself, but to deepen your presence. You are not alone in this work. The universe supports you, the earth holds you, the pattern guides you, and somewhere, in the silence between your heartbeats, you already know this. You are the bridge between worlds, not by chance, but by design.